Last time I talked about Fantech, I made a double feature review and they liked it so much that they decided to make not one, but two controllers.
As if.
Absolutely.
And I will be reviewing both, well, sort of. I'll focus on the EOS Pro IIs, which is this guy, but I'll also make comparisons with the Pro II. For now, we'll focus on the bigger and superior version and update to their previous EOS model. Before we do, both of them was sent for review. That has no impact on my opinions, no money changed hands. And as it says on the box, it's compatible for PC, Steam, Switch, iOS, macOS, tvOS, Android, Tesla, and cloud gaming and Game Pass. We have TMR sticks, replaceable D-pads, timed macro, replaceable thumbsticks, Hall effect triggers, 3.5mm jack, I was surprised to see that, thumbstick lighting, motion sensor. They have a dock. It says that it's sold separately, but they haven't sent that to me. I haven't seen it on the website either. I may not have looked super well, but it would seem that there is an option to have a charging dock with this controller. Let's open it. I'm gonna do a tech dweeb. The controller, two replacement D-pads. Here's a look at them closer. A quick start guide, a warranty card, a thank you thing, two replacement D-pads as well as the one pre-installed, a USB-C to USB-A cable, and precision rings. I don't really use precision rings, but we're gonna talk about them right away so that you know what it is. Essentially, when you're moving your sticks, you have a lot of fluidity. But say you want to have a little more precision, you can put a precision ring and they all have different firmness, so they'll give different resistance. And as you install back your stick like this, you just slide it in. And now that gives you a lot of resistance when trying to push your sticks, especially to the edges. Let's look at what's in the box of the other model. The controller, same style replacement D-pads, same height replacement stick caps, a USB-C to USB-A cable, the dongle, precision rings, a product manual, a warranty card, a thank you thing. So what they have inside is basically the same. Let's just go over the box super quick. The big difference is that you're gonna have Hall effect sticks as opposed to TMR on the other model. And the rest seems to be about the same, but we'll confirm by the end of the video. So in terms of buttons, we have mechanical buttons for face buttons, feels nice. Tactile D-pad, clickable TMR sticks, at least on the EOS 2 Pro. We have Hall effect triggers. I think that's tactile shoulders, but I'm not sure because they have such a travel distance that feels exactly like a micro switch would. But the sound and feel of the actuation feels tactile. If that's tactile, that's a very well executed tactile shoulder buttons. They feel quite nice and they click well from everywhere. We have two extra buttons on the back, a switch for modes, 3.5mm jack, and you have hair triggers, little pins that you can push, and that'll give you a distance shortened, software corrected hair trigger. So it's not a proper button, select, start, or minus plus, whichever you want to call them. What seems to be our mode button, what seems to be a capture button, and of course we have our home button right down the middle. So your typical Xbox-esque kind of controller. In terms of ergonomics, it does feel a little wider, especially at the grips. It's a similar feel, different in the grips as well. So, you know, I'd say like we are in that kind of style, like most controllers these days, but it does feel a little bit different. So if you were to start from the Xbox controller, I think most people would feel at home, but it's not quite identical. Very glossy, slightly treated plastic in the front. Feels quite nice, but it's smooth. If you don't like a smooth surface, you may not like this. I actually like, because it's smooth, but at the same time it has that, you know, like smooth but grippy kind of feel. It's very well executed. The print looks great. They have two different colors, by the way, for this model, and I believe the other model has three different colors. But yes, as far as the front faceplate, feels nice. Your buttons have a slightly different feel, so is the D-pad. And then of course you have a fairly rubbery, grippy stick cap, a little bit of texture on the bumpers and triggers, and you have a little bit of dotted kind of pattern in the back. You have a pairing button up top, I failed to mention, and you have your USB-C as well. And this is what it looks like once it's powered. Very nice RGB. I think there seems to be probably, I would assume 4 LEDs, but they're really recreating the effect of having a rotating color. So I don't know, maybe it's more than 4. It kind of looks like we have 4 quadrants based off of where the color starts. But like sometimes I'm getting fooled. I'm not sure. Very well executed RGB around the sticks. And by the way, those rings will also serve as an anti-skid, but you also have a metal ring around the sticks. So we're looking at something that is very well suited for aiming, for performance, and for long duration for your stick modules. It's quite early to say. Kind of feels like Fantech are on a mission to achieve that budget-friendly, super high value kind of approach. And, you know, from first impressions, I think we're there. Now this also has gyro, this also has rumble. It has multiple modes, as we can see here. Oh, and did I mention what the modes are? I think I didn't. Nintendo Switch, Android, iOS, and Windows. So I would assume we'll have X input, D input, and Switch mode. We have a 1000 Hertz milliamp hour battery. Looking at the quick start guide, because this controller doesn't have a companion app, it'll show you here. So this is more of a quick sheet than a manual, which I greatly appreciate. We have wired connection, Bluetooth connection, 2.4 gigahertz using the provided dongle. Turbo, very simple. You hold the button, you push the button that you want to turbo. You can address your rumble intensity. You can do some macros or remap your back paddles. They show the trigger lock, how to calibrate your gamepad, your lighting, thumbstick, D-pad, interchangeable. You know, so good stuff. I like this. I really like this. This is great. Great cheat sheet. So let's carry on with the tests. And before we start, I guess I forgot to mention we have tactile function buttons and tactile back buttons. The back buttons are a little hard to reach, so I don't know that I would want to use them for like quick action, but for convenience they have a nice placement and a nice feel. Stick tremor, we're not getting any of it. Absolutely no axis snapping. I think it's fine to say in 2025 that axis snapping is pretty much no longer a thing. Stick snapback, we do have it. I didn't see anything in the manual that lets us change from circle corrected or square, so all we have is circle on this controller, and this is well tweaked, at least on the edges. Inner dead zone, we definitely have a little bit of it. Not a whole lot, but we do have it. Gap dead zone, I don't think that we do, but seeing the increment, I would also assume that it's probably not going to be the most linear stick. Unfortunately, that's not something I test, but the increment seems to be aggressive at the very low point of your stick. And for outer dead zone, we also have a little bit of it, but it's not too crazy. Stick tension, we are pretty much 55 TGF. And stick resolution, we are at 0.001, which means I have to backtrack on the gap dead zone. There are definitely gap at the center point of your stick, but it's not a whole lot. Still, I do believe there seems to be circle correction happening, specifically in the center point of your radius. Diagonal focus. Overall seems good. And in case you want to see, this is what we have under. It's one of those, you know, like shaped D-pad over the tactile switches. I'm doing the rolling test. But really, we have plenty of options here, and yeah, it feels good. It's tight enough that you won't get. It doesn't seem to cause much accidental adjacent push. And adjacent direction, it's actually hard. Okay, so yeah, they made it tight. It's hard to, like, it's not impossible, but it's hard to hit adjacent directions with this D-pad style. Accidental inputs, yeah, I figured it's too tight. Like, it was very unlikely that we'd get accidental inputs, and this is not the case here. It's not impossible, but it's such a tight module that they have underneath that it's not likely to happen. Center pivot, I would definitely say that we have one, but you know, it's one of those center pivots where you can't hit it without hitting a button. It's just impossible. As far as actuating from the center, it is possible. No issues there as well. It's hard to hit one key though. Like I seem to always hit just two keys, so I don't know that it would be a D-pad that can do that very efficiently, but you can. For the triggers, we definitely have a dead zone at the start, definitely have a dead zone at the end as well, but little of it, not a whole lot. When it comes to dampening, you have it, whether you have the hair trigger on or off, it's definitely there, but you don't have actuation in the dampening itself, so that's good. And if it is on, you have less of it, but I still believe that you have a little bit of it somehow. Otherwise, it would be probably more clicky, but you still hear some kind of a click. Hair trigger, it is software corrected, right? So there's no proper button. If anything, I find that it's quite a lot of distance for a hair trigger. You know, maybe not my favorite, but I still appreciate the fact that it's there as an option. When jumping into games, already I just started, this is my first round, I can already tell you what I suspected happened with the sticks is 100% the case. The center is very, it doesn't feel linear at all. It's almost sad that I don't test linearity because I would love to know what it's looking like. And that center is not feeling linear at all. That doesn't mean it's a bad stick. Like in terms of the quality, in terms of being consistent, once I adapt and adjust to the linearity, I'm sure it would be good. But just for example, the jitter you just saw was kind of hard to tame, and that's just me not having something that appears to be linear as I would expect it. Yeah, so this is where this controller is potentially showing its price, and it's not like, you can tell that the module feels good, but sometimes I do wonder, like, is it that they can lower the cost because they don't tweak the sticks? Is it because the factory proposes a default, or maybe the option to buy a lot where you don't know what you're gonna get kind of thing? I do wonder, because again, it's not that they feel bad or anything, it's just, it's immediately obvious that this is not a linear evolution of your sticks. And for aiming, you know, it's one thing if you tweak it yourself to something you're used to it or that you prefer, but I think when buying controllers, your sticks should always have the most consistent, linear, and gradual growth. That does not feel like it is here. That said, I've had a lot of budget controllers that have just abysmal, nearly unusable sticks, and that is not the case here. That is, I guess what I'm trying to say is, this is a controller that you may do lesser than in terms of performance once you get it, but if you train on it, eventually you'll get used to it, and that'll get better. That said, like, as someone who always tries to aim for something that is gradual, that is not it, and so this is where I am struggling. But again, the quality of the stick does come out very nicely. No issues whatsoever with, or barely, with diagonals. Overall good, but it's a tight D-pad, right? So you have to not miss your corners, otherwise you may find yourself not doing the diagonals. Man, that rolls easy. That rolls very easy. It might be too tight for something that doesn't have like a physical feedback. Let me try this one. No, I'm struggling to... Oh, I think I found it. No, still struggling. It's, yeah, see, that's the thing. By being tight, it prevents accidental inputs, which is nice, but it might make it harder to have your adjacent arrows. And with command kind of fighters, that probably is going to be a struggle. But if I was to play with Guile, for example, I would expect that it would probably do a better job than a lot of controllers. So something to keep in mind. It does have a satisfying feel though, like being so tight like that. Yeah, it feels good. I'm being silent right now. I'm enjoying the sound of the D-pad. If you like those clickety clicks, clickety clacks, does sound nice. But yeah, I mean, overall, it's a good D-pad for platformers too. I don't see nothing wrong with it. It's like, it's gonna be a D-pad that demands precision, basically. It's such a tight D-pad. If you're not being precise with it, you're gonna struggle with it. But it's really satisfying to use, and the way that your thumb can roll over because it's so smooth, that due to the tightness, of course. But it definitely feels good. Probably, like, if I was playing Run, it's probably not the D-pad I would use actually, because it's gonna be a little harder to be precise. I would probably use the 4-way. That said, it's going to be good for certain things, maybe not good for everything. Overall, I like it. I think it has purpose. We're looking at a trigger that has a fairly high tension, but in terms of graduality, it does feel nice. It's very thin, you know, not too high. That's something I personally like with this controller. It does have a good feel, and it feels very floaty. You feel zero resistance with those triggers. You do have resistance in the tension, but you don't have resistance in the module itself. So if you like to have triggers that feels floaty, that's 100% the case here. They're one of the most floaty triggers I've tested in a long time. They do feel nice. I like them for racing. I could see myself use that for long durations as well. Performance. Blazing fast, consistent. I'll put the numbers and latency on screen, but it's looking good. With all our tests out of the way, let's talk about what makes both of these controllers different. EOS Pro II, EOS Pro IIs. Off of the website, there is just a $1 difference. Probably the most obvious difference between the two is going to be the fact that the Pro IIs uses TMR sticks, whereas the Pro II uses Hall effect. But another big difference, the Pro II has membrane button, very springy, fast-acting membrane buttons, and also a membrane D-pad. The rest of the controller feels the same. You have all the same features, everything is there. The sticks have a higher tension at 80 TGF, and the tension is more consistent across the board, whereas here, there's like a low at the beginning, but then the tension increases on the outer radius. You know, I didn't expect to say that, and I tested this controller a little more, and as far as I'm concerned, I actually prefer the Pro II. It's surprising, not something I expected. It also doesn't have the exact same feel on the front. It's not smooth. It's more traditional, I would say, where you have a little bit of grittiness to it. In both cases, they would probably be not controllers where I would lean on the aiming aspect of them, even though they're absolutely fine in using them for that kind of purpose. Now, rather, I kind of like that they're going membrane, and I like the feel of the membrane both for the face buttons and the D-pad. Something that we don't really see a whole lot, especially with controllers that have all these extra features like back buttons and hair triggers. So by having something that retains these options while still having the membrane, kind of makes it stand out a little more. You still have the gorgeous RGB rings, which I like, and your face buttons are backlit, something that the other one doesn't have. I mean, not that it matters a whole lot, but it's still a difference. Fantech, in both cases, nailed incredible values at incredible price points. And this is one of the few controllers I think could give a run for its money to the PXN P5 and PXN P5 8K. That said, the polling rate is not as high, latency is decent, compatibility is great across the board, but these also have the 3.5mm jack. So if this is something you use, well, that's another benefit that these have that the PXN controllers do not. We're threading similar kinds of products that I would put in the same category where they achieve incredible price point at tremendous value, but they each have their own benefits. Like if for you capacitive sticks and 8K sounds better, then probably I would recommend to go with the PXN P5 8K. But if you don't care as much for aiming and rather you would want to focus on aesthetics or having a 3.5mm jack or the ability to buy a dog, though separate, that's where I think the Fantech EOS Pro II and Pro IIs would be favorable. The last thing I can leave you with is if you care for mechanical buttons and tactile D-pad, go with this model. If you prefer to go old school membrane for your face buttons and D-pad, go with the Pro II instead. And either way, I think you'll be pleased. For the sticks, I found that they were quite similar overall, even though TMR should technically be superior, especially after long durations of training. That said, just out of the box, to me, they felt similar enough. And so that is it, guys. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. If you have any comments, drop them in the comment box. And as always, I'll see you on the next one. Peace.